Welcome to NATO Dispatches with me, Nicholas Richardson, and in this episode we're visiting the soldiers who are doing important work defending Poland's border with Belarus. Of course, it's not just Poland's border, it's also NATO's border and the European Union's eastern border. And I'm delighted to have with me Lieutenant Alexander Klima, a company commander in the 16th Division of the 11th Artillery Regiment. Lieutenant, thank you very much for taking time to show us your base.
You're welcome, Nicholas. It's dinner time, so let me invite you to try some our Polish famous militarism.
Yes, splendid, because it's not only is it time to eat, it's also very cold, so I'm sure some hot soup is just what I need.
Let's get...
Lead on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Only 3 months ago, events on the Polish-Belarusian border hit the headlines in world media. At first, journalists wrote about the refugees, first from Afghanistan, then from other Middle Eastern countries who fled war and disease to their dream destination, Germany. It was Poland that stood in their way. But wait a minute, Belarus is in the middle of Europe, not in the Middle East. How did these people come to be here? Well, Belarus issued them tourist visas and smugglers offered them thousands of dollars to cross the Polish border illegally and travel to Berlin, where they could apply for asylum. Poland, which deployed troops to defend the border, was criticized for cruelty, human rights abuses, and even racism and resentment against Muslims. It took many weeks before the truth dawned on Western media and later the public, whose sympathies then turned towards Poland. By winter, the pressure on the border had eased, but the soldiers and border guards remain on duty. In late January, Poland began building a barrier on the border, which is expected to be ready in June. It will extend for almost 200 kilometers at a height of 5.5 meters. In addition to the steel spans, the border will be guarded by electronic sensors. All this is possible thanks to the hard work and perseverance of soldiers. At one time, around 20 servicemen from the best units were on duty at the border. Almost all the soldiers from the army, which has 115,000 soldiers, have taken part in the rotations. Their work at the border is several days of intense guard duty, depending on the unit for 8 or 12 hours, followed by a 12-hour break, and again 12 hours on duty. At the border, they have to be alert and keep a cool head. Belarusian servicemen throw stones, insults, and even shoot in their direction. I'm on my way to talk to soldiers from the 11th Artillery Regiment of the 16th Mechanized Division, who took on the challenge of defending the Polish border. We will see their camp and hear how they see their work defending the Polish and NATO border. Excellent. I really enjoyed the pea soup. I could eat that every day. It was so good. So now you're going to show us some more of your facilities here.
Exactly. Now we will go to relax zone.
Okay.
Call it, with gym and some room with.
In the British Army, on Christmas Day, they have a tradition that the officers serve the men, or officers serve the shoulders. Because men and women these days, of course, but...
Oh, very good tradition.
Yeah, exactly. So you see all these soldiers sitting at the table and the officers go round and... okay, thank you.
Yeah. Here's our relax zone.
Oh, right, very nice. So you got another Christmas tree, games...
Xbox, maybe...
Darts
as well.
The all-important coffee machine.
Do you want to try?
I'll try it, yeah, thank you. I'll just have a small black coffee, please. Top tip for our viewers is if you want good coffee and good soup, join the Polish Army.
Yeah. That's the best commercial for Polish.
Well, that soup is worth joining the army for. See what else we've got. Well, we had a good introduction to the 16th Division. Very different in some ways from our previous programmes. They're really based here in the field. Before we talk to them more, let's go back to Conrad in the studio to hear the latest from NATO headquarters.
Thank you, Nicholas. NATO's main concern at the moment is the eastern flank and tensions with Russia that has gathered over 100,000 soldiers on the border with Ukraine. For months now, the railway is transporting military equipment from all corners of the vast country. New satellite images suggest that Russia has bolstered the overall readiness of its military deployments in Belarus, Crimea, and Western Russia. Some of the units had been pre-positioned or forward deployed, but the new images show fresh and significant deployments in Belarus and more personnel at various military sites. To those who considered NATO as irrelevant, the alliance's response might come as a surprise. U.S. President Joe Biden ordered around 2,000 GIs from the 82nd Airborne Division to deploy from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to Poland. And 300 others will go to Germany. Additionally, Romania will be reinforced by a 1,000-strong Stryker battalion that will move from Germany. Earlier, 8,500 U.S. troops received ready-to-deploy orders. This includes units such as brigade combat teams, logistics personnel, medical support, aviation support, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance troops. According to the Pentagon, they may be activated by NATO should the need arise. Poland will help Ukraine with gas and arms supplies. When visiting Kiev, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki announced the delivery of tens of thousands of rounds of artillery, ammunition, light mortars, surveillance, drones, and probably NATO's best, brand new man-portable air defense systems, Piorun and Bolt. Moreover, the United Kingdom, Poland, and Ukraine have formed a trilateral defense cooperation agreement. The UK has already delivered at least 2,000 N-LAW missiles that should prove highly effective at piercing enemy armor. The U.S. Army shared its anti-armor Javelin missile as part of a $200 million military aid. Both the UK and U.S. have also provided instructors to teach Ukrainian servicemen to use this equipment. But not everything is rosy. The Allies are looking at Berlin and asking questions regarding the policy of the new government. Initially, Germany denied any assistance to Ukraine, even banned the sale of 40-year-old ex-East German army howitzers from Estonia. After public uproar, the German Ministry of Defense pledged 5,000 composite helmets. NATO also answered in writing to Kremlin demands to rewind the clock to 1997 and withdraw troops and military infrastructure from former Warsaw Pact countries. The answer was a resounding no. Moreover, NATO has now called on Russia to withdraw troops from the territories of Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine. That's what the situation looks like today. It is tense, but NATO is showing unity and resolve, which is a good sign for the future. Over to you, Nicholas.
Thank you, Conrad. And now, let's learn more about the activities of the 16th Division.
I am a company commander. My rank is lieutenant. I'm Lieutenant Alexandra Klima. And here I'm responsible for my post, for soldiers serving at the post near the border. And all regiment is responsible for our piece of the border. So we serve near the border and we send soldiers over there.
Okay. And how would you say that serving at the border sort of fits in with your, what I would call your normal military duties?
Well, border protection, I guess, is the key element of our military service. It's we have sworn to defend our motherland, and border protection, protection our borders against illegal movement of people or weapon is essential to our homeland security.
How do you feel when you think of your work in the context, say, of an international organization like NATO?
I think protecting border is our common goal. So cooperation with Estonia, for example, or UK, strengthen the ties between the countries. And UK forces and the Estonian forces, they provide the support in engineering and reconnaissance activities. So yeah, I think it's really helpful.
How do you feel that you have these international soldiers working with you?
I think we all interested in protecting borders as a NATO. So the threat of illegal migration, I think, is in interest of any country that belongs to NATO, and we have to work together and cooperate together.
Belarusian services sort of trying to intimidate Polish soldiers on the border. I mean, how do your soldiers react to that?
Well, they use different methods to weaken our morale. For example, they throw stones, some dangerous objects. They very often they insult us. They show some obscene gestures. And what can we do? We can offer our soldiers some psychological help. We have priests as well, and we provide them some protective equipment. For example, glasses against lasers or strobe lights, because they use it very often towards us. So that's what we can do.
Well, what do you enjoy most about this particular assignment?
I love working with people. That we spend so much time in here, so that we feel like a family, really. It's like sometimes I spend more time with my soldiers than with my family, so we feel like one big family, and we can rely on each other, so we can react to if something bad happened on my post. I will do everything to help my soldiers, and I believe they feel it.
What do you find personally or generally as a unit is the biggest challenge about doing this particular work in this particular location?
Well, the biggest challenge is that we all don't know when it's going to end, this situation, so we don't know if we spend another Christmas in here or maybe we can spend them at home. I think it's tough for all of us, that we don't know when it's going to be end.
No.
It's very difficult for us. We don't know what's happened in the future, if it's going to be more intense at the border or not. We just don't know what to expect.
At the forward base of the 16th Division of the 11th Artillery Regiment, we've seen more evidence of the commitment, the organisation, and indeed the enthusiasm of the men and women who are doing this vital work, defending not only Poland's eastern border, but the eastern border of NATO. And so, as the daylight fades, all it remains for me to do is to turn and say thank you very much, Alexandra, for having us, for taking time out.
Thank you.
Thank you especially for that marvellous peace suit, which I mean the viewers can't see, but it really was phenomenally good. And really, it's definitely worth joining the Polish army, if only for the peace suit. But in all honesty, thank you very much for your hospitality. Good luck with the rest of your mission here. And I hope to see you at some time again in the future.
I'm looking forward for your next visit.
Well, that's very kind indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Anyway, until then, goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.